Did you wake up this morning and wonder where the Snow White reviews are? Well, folks, if that was what you had been waiting for, you still have a wee bit longer to go. If you're watching this video at the time of release, Disney has not yet released the ability for critics to say what they think about Rachel Zegler's latest film. It may be part of a campaign to keep things under wraps until the very last minute. We'll tell you what Disney's up to, and we'll do it right now. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we, as ever, endeavor to explain entertainment. Keeping you ahead of the culture curve is what we do, and we're happy to take you through what's happening behind the scenes when it comes to the strategies of Snow White. Folks, this video is going to make you feel all right. Click the like button. We're going to get underway. All right, and here's the article. It's out of That Park Place by Marvin Montanaro. Who's that? When does the Snow White review embargo lift? Disney's last-minute strategy raises red flags for the Zegler film. As the countdown to Disney's live-action Snow White remake continues, a new development signals just how shaky confidence is within the House of Mouse. It has now been confirmed that the Snow White review embargo will lift March 19th at 3 p.m. Eastern, only 24 hours before the first public showings begin, a strategy commonly used when studios expect critical reception to be less than favorable. Oh, but wait a minute, they say. I thought all the reviews were positive so far. All the social media reactions from that fake premiere were wonderful and great. Well, folks, if Mickey Mouse wrote it, I don't count it. That's the rule here. All right. Hey, Jonas, can you write that down? I like that one a lot. It was on the spot. Write it down. For context, major studios typically allow reviews to drop several days, sometimes even a week or more ahead of release when they believe they have a hit on their hands. Early reviews generate buzz, build audience anticipation, and create positive word of mouth. But when the review embargo is held until the last minute, it usually indicates that the studio expects or knows that the feedback will not be great. Now, Marvin, you are the one who put pen to digital paper here, and I know that watching the theaters, there seems to be a story when it comes to ticket sales, not just the review embargo. Marvin, what are you seeing in terms of how Snow White is looking to perform over the first weekend?
Well, I mean, ticket sales have been abysmal. I've been checking the Disney Springs movie theater as you know, in conjunction with other non-Walt Disney World movie theaters. Now, the Dolby showings in Disney Springs are starting to fill up, but none of them, as of yesterday, had moved to a point where, you know, they were like, "Hey, this is filling up. Better get your tickets." They have added another laser showing for Thursday night. However, that is there was no demand for that. None of them have anything really, moving for it. And then when you look at things like Regal, places that are not in Walt Disney World, even the IMAX showings, you have like sub 10 people in the audience. Nobody is going to see this movie. It is going to be an absolute flop. And honestly, a well-deserved one. I mean, look at this Fandango right here. Absolutely no one going to see this, and that is a 5 p.m. movie on opening night. So I mean, that's crazy.
Absolutely, but I don't understand why people don't love this. Why don't they love this? What is it that Derek? What is it that's driving people away, and why do you think the embargo has been held, despite the fact that the red carpet, we're supposed to believe, everything's good, it's great, she's stunning, she embodies Snow White?
Well, look, if you believe any of the words of a shill, then, I got a nice bridge to sell you out here in LA. It's what we expected. When you basically tell all of the critics you're not invited to the cookout unless you come in with the right points, with the right talking points. You're not going to get your goodie bag. They basically made sure everybody that came across, that premiere, they knew that these guys are going to follow the company line, do exactly what they were told, and they're not going to, rock the boat. They did everything in their power to, hey, you can't interview Rachel Zegler. You can't interview Gal Gadot. Did people really think that they're going to let some negative reviews get out about this film out of the premiere? No way. So they already knew that this was going to be a nice, sanitized, clean premiere with no problems. And so nobody believes any of that. The reason nobody's showing up to this movie is because of Rachel Zegler. I've heard all of this stuff about Gal Gadot. I've heard all the negativities about the dwarves, and all of that is true. It's all there. Yes. People are tired of Disney remakes. Absolutely. But Rachel Zegler, I mean, they made 3 chat music videos, 3 about one person, Rachel Zegler. Every last one of these trailers has been downvoted. They've been ratioed. I mean, 1.5 million dislikes on 2 back-to-back trailers. And it's all because of Rachel Zegler. You check the comments, you check the chat. It's all Rachel Zegler. That is the reason nobody's showing up to this. That's the reason why everybody is walking away from this. If they had only cast appropriately, they probably would have been just fine. Find a nice, easy Disney princess, somebody that loved the movie and did nothing but speak positively about it. They got a hit. They got a hit. But now they get the opposite because they decided to cast an activist. Good job, Disney.
Well, the media spin has been absolutely insane. We just posted literally within the last 5 minutes a new article on That Park Place where People Magazine has run this insane fluff piece about Rachel Zegler, where she is gushing over the original voice actress from 1937. Posted some picture like paying homage to her, and she's like, "I owe her everything," and I'm just like, "Come on, lady, you were bashing her movie." You were decrying her quest for true love. Like, stop it. It's so disingenuous. People see right through it. It's insane how the legacy media has rallied around this woman.
And you know what's really funny is that, people say, well, she was young when she first, came out with those comments. That was at D23 back in 2022. So, I think she's 23 now. Maybe she made those comments when she was 20. She's a young girl. Everybody's like, oh, give her a break. This past November, she just said, may Trump supporters never know peace. This was just, 4 or 5 months ago. So, listen, this is who she is. She is not a Disney princess. Out of all the criticisms you can say about Halle Bailey and The Little Mermaid, the entire way, she was a perfect little princess. She smiled for the cameras. She said all the right things. She was not negative towards the original movie in any way, shape, or form. And, that movie performed all right, I guess. But at least she played the part, and she didn't chase people off because of her manners. Right?
That's the point I would make that, Derek, is that movie bombed also. I mean, it's going to perform better than this one did, but that was also a bomb, and that was without all the controversy. What's this one going to do?
Right.
Well, let me ask Culture real quick. Culture, let me get you in on this. This seems to me to be the anti-indie strategy. So Indiana Jones was put out there for the Cannes Film Festival over in France, and for a month it languished with negative reviews, decimated the Dial of Destiny, Kathleen Kennedy humiliated, and since then, Disney seems largely to have held reviews for their films until 24 hours before they release. The problem is that annihilates any buzz for the film. The positive is when all you're producing lately is of the crapola category, it avoids the messiness of having a splat on Rotten Tomatoes. What do you make of that?
Well, look, I can't blame them for their strategy of trying to get out of controversy. And, this particular person, it just brings controversy for fun, I guess. I don't know. The narcissism is flowing freely, as Marvin wrote about. She thrives on the attention, even if it's negative. So that's the problem with a person like that. But the idea that Disney's staying away from early hype just tells me that maybe they've started to understand that they are trying to do a cultural shift in a way that the audience.
Culture said cultural shift.
Yes.
Some people thought you said the other, and it was a bit.
No, I didn't.
It was difficult to know given what we're discussing. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, no. But honestly, they're trying to do that in force change. They're like the Larry Fink strategy when it comes to culture. And I think they've come to realize that their efforts have done nothing but taint everything that they're producing. So nobody's going to go see it. You can't do this with Americans. And it doesn't seem like they could do it at the international audience, because I'm going to tell you, the world is over Disney. You can look at all the recent film projects that have been released, whether it be Marvel or this live action garbage or anything else. The international audience has fallen off. And it's not just China, and the China bucks don't really matter considering there's only about a 20 to 25% haul that comes out of there anyway. You look at Brave New World. Brave New World's the perfect example. Something that the audience didn't want, Disney didn't listen, and the international audience is in the lockstep with the North American audience. You can release it in 77 other markets. You can release a film other than the North American market. And those other 77 markets are saying, no, thank you. It just barely crossed over $200 million this weekend internationally for Brave New World. It's stung. And this is going to run roughly the same pattern with the same kind of soft opening that Mufasa had. Maybe not as dismal as, that was there, but yeah. Go ahead.
I think what's going to be interesting, Culture, is that what are the two things they're going to say when this bombs? It's because they don't want a woman of color in the lead role, and it's because maybe people are just sick of these Disney live action remakes. And then Lilo and Stitch is going to come out.
It's going to blow up
and blow both of those excuses out of the water.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Lilo and Stitch is going to be the yardstick for live action because it looks like somebody cared. I think Jonas has been saying that for a few days, and maybe many others on this panel. But somebody cares about this property, and in turn, we care about this property. First of all, we already cared about Lilo and Stitch. Let's be honest. But having something look like it's supposed to and being presented as it's supposed to be, that's where you get your wins.
Now, the LA Times leaked out that Disney likely knows this is already a flop. The LA Times leaking out industry statistics showing that they expected to make somewhere around $50 million in the opening domestic weekend. That is not a lot when it comes to your first princess. Ron, the word on the street is that they're not supporting Snow White in the parks right now. That there's not a lot of visibility when it comes to this movie. Ron, as someone who frequents the parks often, have you seen any sort of emphasis on Snow White? Any monorail decals, any billboards, any posters up on Hollywood Studios attraction?
No, nothing. Usually the buses will have, that's your first indication. 2 or 3 or 4 months before a property comes out, it's the Walt Disney World buses that will be advertising it heavily. There was none of that for Brave New World. There was also none of that. There's been none of that for Snow White. The only Snow White representation I've seen in the parks is the classic Snow White character doing her regular scheduled meet and greets that she always does. There's just not any excitement around this film. I was looking at my local theater that I normally would go to. Out of these 7 screenings that they have on the opening day Thursday, there are only 3 out of those 7 that have any seats sold whatsoever. So it's just incredibly dismal. And out of all the things that the DA said, he's completely right about Rachel Zegler and how horrible this is. They never hid the fact that she was that their version of this, their take on this, is that this is girl boss Snow White. My whole point is that you have a girl boss in the classic movie, and that's the Evil Queen. The Evil Queen is the epitome of girl boss. She's successful. She's the queen. She's alone. She doesn't have a king. She doesn't want a king. So why on God's green earth, if you're Snow White, would you want to emanate that? That doesn't make any sense. That seems like who this Snow White is wanting to become is the Evil Queen. That's the stupidest thing ever. It's not the same Snow White. It's not the same story. It doesn't matter how pretty they've made it. It doesn't matter any of those other things. It's just, and also, by the way, where are the Andrew Burnap interviews?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, they're all afraid of him because he's a stalker and weird.
Well, they could take him out. They could take him out of the movie completely, and it's Hollywood, baby.
It's Hollywood, baby.
Speaking of things that are missing, toys. There's almost no visibility when it comes to toys being added to the big box retailers. I don't even think there are Snow White Happy Meals at McDonald's. I mean, it's as if Disney a year ago knew that this was one they were not going to support. I don't know. Jonas, I'll give you, Culture, go ahead.
They did know a year ago. They delayed it a year ago. They knew.
You got it right both ways. They probably did delete the original film too, and those dirty hippies. Go ahead, Jonas. Final word to you.
The live action remakes are something that have been a little bit controversial. There were some good ones near the start. I think the Jungle Book 1 is actually good, and they've remade Jungle Book twice now, live action, and both of them I would say are at least fun, if not good films. At some point, they started doing the "we promise you it will be exactly like the thing that you remember, but in live action" thing, which at that point it might as well be AI. The Beauty and the Beast, they added a couple of songs in it, but they changed it in all the right ways, auto-tuning an actress who can't sing very well, making her even more feminist than she already was in the original film, which was the original film was good. And then at some point it was, "we promise you this will be as close to the original as possible, other than the things that we're changing to pat ourselves on the back." And I think people see through it. They're tired of it. The fact that the original is on Disney Plus and is a masterpiece. I've said it's a masterpiece every single time I've talked about it. There are so many things that from a taste standpoint are working against this. And from a lack of taste standpoint, I think this has been one of the most tacky things that Disney has ever done. Insulting the original, having a star who can't shut up, taking out all of the good music from the original. I don't know how much this is going to make. I'm guessing in the $350 to $400 million range, but I don't want it to make any money because I think this thing is a travesty on all levels and an abandonment of what Walt Disney stood for, which was good movies.
And Jonas, I'm gonna assuage your fears. This is gonna lose if not $100 million, $200 million. So you're gonna be fine.
Gonna be fine. Yeah. I don't know about that, but they're not having a good time. And I'll just put this up. Culture sent this my way. I want everybody to see it. Hang on, folks. One second. Here we go. Okay. Well, Jonas, it's not working. Darn you, StreamYard. There it goes. They've had to take to Gal Gadot promoting Snow White solo. So they had to keep them apart on the red carpet. And apparently they're going to keep them apart ever more at the theme parks and more. So for sure, Zegler is a real winner for Disney. It's a nightmare indeed for the House of Mouse. We'll keep an eye on it, folks. We're almost to the release, which means we'll finally have the real numbers. No more anticipation, no more expectations, but realization and activation of how this is going to do. That's what we will show you over the coming days. Good night, game over, drive home safely. Folks, this video is done. But before we all head home, we only ask one thing. Folks, as you get ready to head on out, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below and share your thoughts, for a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Waste not that beautiful personality of yours. And folks, we would say as you get ready to head out the door, that it has been an honor to spend time with you, an attitude of gratitude each and every time that you elect to join together with us. Breaking bread and breaking entertainment, well, the industry. No, we like entertainment. It's the industry that irks us sometimes. Well, it was a good time. We hope you had a good time. Folks, until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Jump into the water.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun.
Want it all, so I give them cannonball. Yeah!
Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio.
Arizona. Pineapple pizza, Hawaiian ice freeze, yeah. Can't wait to be up. 3 days of you and me.
What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.